How you doing? How you doing? And how you doing, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Patty, and I appreciate you stopping by today. And today we're here to answer one of life's oldest questions. Will it be good though? And specifically, we're here to take a look at Alchemy Stars, which, if you're unfamiliar, is a brand new gacha that is going to be coming out in like 2 days' time. There's actually pre-registration stuff that you can do right now. I'll go ahead and throw those links in the description down below. Before we get into today's video, if you guys enjoy the content, if you think your boy has a few jokes that slap, any love that you guys can show us as a smaller channel is very, very appreciated. Likes, comments, all that stuff is huge for the algorithm. And we like to cover a lot of different games and a lot of variety stuff on the channel. So the YouTube algorithm isn't particularly set up to support that. If you want to make sure that you're catching all of our videos, make sure to hit that bell icon too. Alright, let's get into the important stuff. Is it gonna be good? So one of the things that we're going to do is take a look at some footage from the closed beta that happened back in March. Now, if you have not seen anything about Alchemy Stars, specifically any gameplay, this one's going to be a little bit weird. Let's take a look at it and see if you can guess where it might be a little strange for some people. Okay, we've got some awesome art. That's clearly not it. I mean, look at these models. That is absolutely flame design. I think Homegirl might have a tail. Yep, she's definitely got a tail. Kind of fire. Your boy's on board. From an art perspective, this is some dope stuff. So, where's the issue? Not with that monster. That's a pretty cool looking monster. It's about now where things start getting a little strange. So let's kind of watch this and see if we can see what's going on. So this is what just the straight up combat looks like. If you are familiar with games like Final Fantasy Tactics, where everything's kind of like a little chessboard, you might feel a little at home, especially if you're like me and you played that when you were little and there's some nostalgia there. So obviously this is already past the intro levels where they kind of set up and explain a lot of stuff. It's still within the first stage of the world, but it's a little hard to kind of just track and understand what's happening. If we go back to this first clip here, we can see that it looks like they're just doing some movement stuff, right? Like they're just moving up to that thing. Well, they also attack the unit twice on the way, but hold on, only 2 people attacked, and we've got 5 people on the side over here. So it seems like it's a little confusing, and I don't know about you guys, but personally with gachas, one of the most, if not the most important thing is going to be the combat. Now, other stuff can potentially ruin a gacha for me, even if the combat is absolutely amazing, depending on how they set up their progression systems, how realistic it is to get characters. There's a lot of other things that can go in that will kind of rub me off and make me not want to play a game. Terrible phrasing. I don't know. It's really hard to say without actually getting my hands on the game itself, which, I mean, in 2 days we'll be able to do our first look video and really see. But I've got some mixed feelings just looking at this combat. So if we go back and look at something like Summoner's War, where we had turn-based combat, but a depth of monsters with a bunch of different skills, and each variation of the monster has different skills to it, so you get a lot of build complexity. And while it's kind of slower turn-based combat, the deeper you get into it, the more units you build out, you know, the deeper that system gets. While I'm sure the same thing can be said for this, that the deeper you get in, the more complex things get. But one of the concerns that I have is that all of these characters are just one-attack Andes. That we're, you know, seeing these games that treat units in a really flat sense, where they kind of just do one thing, just have one job. So even if you do something that's really out of the box and creative, like this very interesting color-coordinated checkerboard that we have here, but your characters are essentially just one little itty-bitty role doing one thing or only having one attack, that's I have some issues with that. And even if you do something interesting here, the shallowness to the characters themselves is something that I'm probably not going to enjoy. So I don't know. I watched all this the first time and had a very heavy mix of some of this looks really interesting. some of this also looks like it's so gimmicky that I'm gonna have a hard time really having any staying power in the game. Because at this point in following gachas, there's more stuff that will turn me off about a game than will really impress me and give it a uniqueness that makes me want, as a person, want to invest in them. Not just with money. I'm not going to spend money on these, but with my time, with my attention and everything. So I don't know. I've heard a lot of good things about this. It'll be out in just a few days for us to all be able to take a look. But this combat is, I don't know. It just feels like it's going to be so hard for me to be able to get behind. And there's still plenty of stuff going on that isn't them moving around weirdly on the board. Like, clearly we just saw a good amount of ranged attacks. So it looks like there's going to be a much more, dynamic thing to the battles where you're paying attention to, like, enemy positioning and playing off of that. I can see where that has a large attraction because you don't really worry about where enemies are in a lot of gachas. They're just standing on where the side where the enemy team stands, and yeah, you just fight them right there. This isn't adding a layer of depth to that, and that's good, and I like that. But it's also a little weird, so your boy's a little hard-sold. So this is also one of the things that makes me not want to look at games too much before they come out and before I get a chance to play them and do our first look videos. Because there's a decent chance that if I was warmed into this, that it would seem less weird. But just watching, the random little bit of gameplay where there's not a lot of context for what's happening, I don't know. I have a feeling that this one is going to be kind of a little bit of a hard pass for me. And there have been great gachas that, for me personally, I couldn't get past their style and how they set things up. Like, there's been several recently where it's like little anime cutscenes to all of the attacks. And that, I got so bored of that so very quickly and did not want to sit there and watch the same animation happen thousands of times as I have my farmer team and I'm doing whatever. I mean, that got old to me super, super, super fast. But I know that not everybody had those same feelings towards those games. Seven Deadly Sins, Fate Grand Order. Those are still doing very well. Those still have active communities and people absolutely love those games. So it's not me saying that it is, a bad game. Just that there's a potential that, that's not going to fall in line with my tastes. And I have a feeling that the same thing's going to happen with Alchemy Stars. So I thought this was interesting. I thought there's a decent chance that a lot of you haven't seen any gameplay for that. And I ask you guys to do the same thing that I'm trying to do, where I am not letting this try and shade and build an early opinion on this. But let's wait till it actually comes out. We actually get our hands on it in a couple of days. And then we'll see how we feel about it. Because while this looks very weird from afar, and I don't think there's anything wrong in highlighting that, it's you can't judge it off of just this. So is it good? It's probably going to be good. Is it going to be everybody's flavor of tea? That's a whole different question altogether. But alright guys, thank you so much for stopping by. We're going to go ahead and wrap this one up there. I really appreciate your faces. Remember the likes, remember the comments, remember to hit that bell because we like to cover a lot of things and YouTube is like, no, they subscribed when you covered this game, so we'll tell them when you do something for that game. That's not how this works at all. But alright guys, I will catch you all later. Thank you so much for stopping by today. And we out of here. Deuces.